What is going on, everybody? Happy Saturday. My name is Justin, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. We're back with another Comic Collector Origins. We're on episode 58. And yeah, we're moving and grooving. We got Halloween tomorrow. Happy Halloween. Anyone that's going out tonight, mischief night, having a good time, be safe and have fun as well as tomorrow. This show's just been awesome. I have had a lot of people reach out to me recently and not even reach out to me. Let me start that over. I've had a lot of people recently share my page and make this extra push for if you haven't seen, I've finally hit 1K, which I'm really excited for subscribers, a huge milestone. And I appreciate everybody who had taken part in just helping out or has just been there. And supporting me throughout this entire time. It's just been an incredible journey, and we will continue that journey. And definitely going to have a giveaway, going to have a party, live stream party sometime next week. So whether you're here right now or if you're watching the replay, make sure you keep an eye out for that video. I'll probably drop a giveaway video sometime tomorrow, letting you know the rules and all the fun stuff on how you can get entered. And then we'll do the live stream party probably sometime next week or weekend. I don't know. We'll see. But either way, I appreciate everybody who's here and just who's been supporting me throughout this time. It's really been such an awesome journey, and I meet so many people. And a big thanks to this show, Comic Collector Origins. If you guys are not new or if you're not familiar with the show, it's where I bring on guests from the community. I interview them about their origin story, what their first appearance was at a comic book shop or at a Comic-Con, and just getting an understanding of like why they got into it, where they stand right now with the hobby. And this show has just brought to me so many great people and really getting to know individuals as not just collectors, but as friends and lifelong friends. So it's really been just incredible. So with all that being said, take a moment, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Do appreciate that. My guest for today is a very good friend of mine, somebody who I've actually had the pleasure of meeting in person not too long ago at Terrificon, and I've had him on this channel several times. This is certainly not his first time. I know that's for sure, and it won't be his last either. But my good friend Paul, aka PJMORRIS72 over on Instagram, he is the collector in my eyes, and has just a ton of great books, a ton of great experiences and stories that I'm looking forward to kind of hearing how he got to where he is today, and where the hobby started for him. So let me bring in my man Paul, and we will jump into this. Paul, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's up, brother? What's happening?
Not much, man. Not much. I appreciate you taking the time. I know this has probably been a long time coming, but
appreciate the invite, man. Definitely.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Congrats on the 1K.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. It's been a blast, man. It's been a journey. You've been there since day one, I feel like. So it's like, you know,
it's been a while now.
Right? It's just seeing everybody grow, and I'm seeing all these other channels continue to grow together. So and I think that's what it's all about. So so Paul, man, you have been to me someone I look up to, with the books that you post, the way you carry yourself with this hobby. You've taught me a lot of different things along the way. Yeah, man, I'm excited to dive into the details. If people watching right now, if you guys don't already know Paul or haven't followed him, I put all his information in the description below. And don't just follow him, but reach out to Paul. Like, talk comics, because Paul, I know you're a big fan of comics, and obviously why you're here. So
absolutely,
yeah, man. So let me before we get into all the fun questions and everything, let's take a moment, just say a quick hello to the chat, and then we will get started here. So right off the bat, I saw my man Travis here, Station. He just said he's gonna catch the replay. Appreciate you, man. Cool. And congrats on the 1K. Thank you so much, Trav. We got my man John Ross in the house. John, Big Daddy Ross.
Hey, John,
good to see you, brother.
It's a local guy. He's a fellow Rhode Islander.
Oh, no way. Okay, good to know. Good to know. I've definitely seen him around on the Instagram postings and stuff like that. So very cool. We got my man John from John's Comics with Kids, who I think is actually live right now at this moment with his girls. He had to move his show to the afternoon, but if you guys aren't following John, yeah, go check him out. Always a good guy. Don't check him out right now. Stay here, but afterwards you catch the replay. Good to see you, John. We got my man Jason from Claiming Comics. Always a pleasure seeing you, Jason.
Jason, what's up, brother? My Stella brother.
Yeah, man. There you go. We got You Promised Me Comics. That is Caroline and Jeremy, aka Sparks Comics. So appreciate y'all coming up. You guys are actually on your way to 1K soon as well. So if you guys aren't subbed up to this channel right here, well, you should do so. Let's see, we got Comics and Culture in the house. What's going on, brother? Thanks for stopping in as well. Very active over in the Instagram community also. We got my man Brandon, Station Brandon. Thanks for stopping in as well.
Dan, what's going on, bro?
Oh, the chat just jumped on me here. We got my man Verno from the Cerebros hanging out. I was actually just recording a pre-recorded episode with him literally 10 minutes before jumping on here. So good to see you, Verno. Cool. Thanks for hanging out. Let's see. We got my man Sove Collector, Michael, hanging out in the chat as well. Did you meet him too?
We did. Yeah,
oh, you did, right?
Yeah. He's
nice.
Semi-local. He's cool. Yeah, close enough to me. He's in Connecticut, but
yeah. I ran into him again in Baltimore when we were down there.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was down in Baltimore.
He made the trip.
Awesome. I wish I wanted to, but just
next year.
Yeah, hopefully. I want to definitely travel to a show next year, either New York or Baltimore or something.
Totally, man. Put it on the list. Good to see you, Michael. Thanks for stopping in, man, and thanks for the congratulations. We got my man Uncanny Swag in the house. What's going on, Swag? Thanks for stopping in.
As Morbius would say, great handle. I like that name.
Great. Yeah, hell yeah. We got John Thomas also hanging with us. JT, what's going on, brother? Thanks for stopping in.
What's up, John?
Let's see. We got Game Faces in the house. What's going on, Game Faces? Checking the replay. Appreciate that. We got my man Martin Besa in the house, NYC. Good to see you, Martin. Thanks for swinging by as well. Said happy to catch this one. Absolutely. Cool. Happy to have you.
Appreciate it.
Yep. We got TK Batcave also in the house. What's going on, TK? Good seeing you as well. And we got Azor's Tiger in the house. Eric hanging out with us today. Good to see you, Eric. Appreciate you, brother. I think we're just about caught up here. And we got my man Jeff, Geek Driven, saying congrats on the 1K. Appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you so much, man. Keep an eye out for the party when we plan that out. All right, cool. So appreciate everybody here right now. Like I said, if you guys are not following Paul, make sure you do so. I put his information in the description below. And Paul, man, let's dive into this. I'm going to start off with the main question of the day, which is, when did this hobby start for you? And really, like, how old were you? What was your environment? What did it look like to you at that time? Like, tell us.
So I feel like compared to a lot of my contemporaries, I might have been a little late to the game because I didn't really start collecting comics till like 83.
Oh, okay.
And I was like 11 years old, or 10, 11. So I feel like a lot of guys I talked to my age, they were like, they claim anyway that they were collecting comics and they were like 5 years old. So
right.
I always feel like I'm a little behind on that regard. But it was like basically G.I. Joe.
Oh yeah.
The cartoon, then the cartoon actually used to advertise. It was a brief little commercial for a comic book, and it was like, all right, cool. I need to get that. I love G.I. Joe. So I started picking up the G.I. Joe comics. That was basically that got the ball rolling. Once I went to a comic shop to get G.I. Joe comics, and I saw all the rest. Now I was already familiar with like Spider-Man from Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. They used to show the 67 Spidey cartoon like in replay, I can't come up with the word. What do they call that? Reruns.
Just like that, right.
So I was watching, like, familiar with Spider-Man and the Marvel superheroes in general. And I did have an older brother. I'm one of 10 kids, by the way. So I got 9 kids. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, I did not know that. Very cool.
We're a big family. And I'm the last of them. So.
Wow.
One of my older brothers was a comic collector as well. Unfortunately for him and me, he collected DC. So I didn't really have a lot of interest in his books. But, he did have books that I could see, I kind of thumbed through them. But like I said, I wasn't really feeling the DC stuff at the.
Wow. Interesting. Okay.
So, yeah, but it was mostly the G.I. Joe. And then that sprung me into Marvel in general. And then just, by like 83, 84, I was buying and then Spider-Man, obviously, like everybody else, most guys, like Spider-Man's like the first love, he's just cool. What can you say,
Totally. He's relatable, especially if you're at that age, like you're growing up.
I was like getting into junior high. He was this awkward, teenager in school. When I was reading the early stuff, like I went right back into the, I'm one of 10, brother. But, so yeah, definitely like felt like similarities with him and stuff, so it was that Spidey was cool. That was my thing. That was like the first run I was trying to knock out. I bought Spidey every month. The only thing I don't regret, but it was like I almost caught like the black suit era, like Spidey 252, because I started buying it monthly, like like right around the 260s. So I almost could have got in at the ground floor. But back then it was, if you went to the shops, you might be able to find the last few months worth of like back issues, obviously early 80s, no eBay, no internet, really, not that anybody was using. So
yeah, right.
It was tougher to get the books. You'd have to actually go to a lot of small shows and, flea markets and stuff like that.
Sure. And when did the love for X-Men kind of come into play? I mean, was this also around that time? Obviously, you mentioned Spider-Man.
The X-Men was more like, so Spidey first, was like Spidey fanatic up until like the mid to later 80s. I didn't really get like, I was buying X-Men, say at like, 85, 86, but I wouldn't say I was like a fanatic or whatever. And then I was able to get the Wolverine miniseries, the Frank Miller one, and that just made me like, oh, this guy's like, I was familiar with Wolverine and he was cool, but this one here.
Nice. So
it was like, I loved Wolverine after that series. So that made me kind of steer more towards X-Men. So, and then by like the 90s, like the early 90s, I was like, Spidey was still cool, but I was an X-Men guy at that point.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. And you mentioned the 90s stuff. Like, what were your thoughts on like the big boom with like Image and just coming out and things like that? Like, were you caught up in any of that stuff? Like, were you?
I did, yeah. Like I bought Spawn, Wildcats, Youngblood. I think it was Shadowhawk, maybe Savage Dragon. Yeah, basically all the first wave of Image books I bought.
Right.
Wasn't really impressed. They looked pretty. Like the art was great.
Right.
I think I was more disappointed as a Marvel guy that like these guys left, because then Marvel was kind of substandard, at least artistically. And then shortly thereafter, the stories and everything. By the mid 90s, I was kind of not really reading any like monthly comics anymore. They were pretty bad.
Okay. So yeah, I was wondering if there were moments of time throughout your life where you took breaks or where you fell out of comics altogether, like anything like that happened to you?
Yeah, no, definitely. So like mid 90s, I was like, if I still would stop in the shop, I would buy like whatever issue of Wolverine was out. I'd maybe pick up an X-Men. Spider-Man was like the Clone Saga had either wrapped up or was still going on, and that just really turned me off of Spidey. If people were familiar with that at the time, the story was that since the clone stories in the 70s, it wasn't Peter Parker anymore. He was the one that had died and was thrown down the smokestack, and it was the clone that had been Spidey that whole time since. So at the time reading that off the rack, it was like, what, are you kidding me? That, it was like, so I was just like, I'm done with Spider-Man. He was terrible. So, but anyway, yeah, I kind of took a break, I would say, in the latter 90s.
Okay. Right.
But then by 2000, I was picking up some books again, but not nearly like the way I used to. And honestly, I didn't really get like heavy back into like 2005, 2006.
Oh, wow. Okay. And you were starting, so you were like, even when you first got into it, were you ever going back and buying like back issues? Like, was that really a thing for you at that time?
So like, even when I first went to get the G.I. Joe comics, this, I had missed this one off the rack. So G.I. Joe was like on the early, Glaze Killer.
Oh, you missed it off the rack. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever, like G.I. Joe, it was like still single digits though, maybe like issue 6 or 7.
Okay.
With the one with the, I forget the name of the group they were fighting, but anyway, so, but like I said a little bit earlier, you could go back at that point, you couldn't go like online, obviously to buy books, but you could still go to a lot of shops and they would have like the last 3, 4, 5 months, if a book didn't sell out, they would still have the copies there. So,
right.
But then obviously once I got into Spider-Man and I started buying Spidey monthly, it was like, wow, he was like on 200 and something issues. So let's try to go back and get him. And at one point by the late 80s, I had Spider-Man 2 up. Well, he was only on like issue 300 at that point. So I had Spider-Man 2 to 300.
Wow.
Comic book regrets. I no longer have those. So.
You don't have them? Oh, man.
I think I must have made some deals in trades, because honestly, I don't recall what I did with like my Spider-Man 2 and 3 and stuff. I think it's sad to say. I hate to even admit it. I probably turned those books into like Burn X-Men or something, whatever was like, whatever I'd really wanted at that point, or maybe some earlier X-Men I traded it for. But I basically traded off Spider-Man for X-Men. That's kind of what happened there.
I mean, I'm fully in support of that. So, I mean, I understand that maybe not all the money might be even, but
in retrospect, though, man,
right.
Mental decision. That was like Enron or something.
Right. Hey, we got my man Steve hanging out in the chat right now. Says good morning, y'all. Congrats on the 1K. Awesome seeing PJ on. Yeah, man. Appreciate you,
I
Steve.
have to confess, these figures are not my OG ones from back in the day. These are actually my sons. Even though he's 13, but he's actually into like vintage Joes. So.
Oh, nice. Okay. I remember him at the show, checking out some of the different toys and action figures.
No, he loves that stuff.
Yeah. Now I see you have some action figures and stuff behind you.
Dude, yeah. So now I'm more into these Marvel Legends figures. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I've been buying these. I don't know, you guys, people, wrong hand. These the Marvel Legends, these retro ones with like Kenner style figures. They're really cool. I like those. Like even the package art is really cool. It's not like I'm gonna open them or anything, but
right. Well, that's I think it's cool. I see a lot of the artists that currently do those. I mean, is that current or are those they've been out for years or?
They're fairly recent. But there's like a bunch of waves. Like naturally, anything else, there was like only like 7 or 8 of them initially, and now there's like the third or fourth wave. So there's probably like 20 or 30 of them out by now. I have like 5 or 6 of them, but I did see they're coming out with a Wolverine one, so I'm gonna be all over that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I mean, I actually wouldn't mind collecting some of those, the new ones as they start coming out, because I have seen some of the current artists that are doing like variants and stuff. They do as other side work. They do like a lot of those background images for the toys and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's cool. So tell me a little bit about, obviously we met at a Comic-Con. I know that you are a Comic-Con goer. Do you recall your first experience at a Comic-Con, whether it was big or small?
So I used to go, there used to be a Holiday Inn downtown Providence that my older brother that did collect the comics, he used to take me to, like, it was a smaller, like, local show.
Oh, okay.
So I used to go to that. I would say by the mid to late 80s, I was going to that show with him, which was like every other month or something.
Nice.
So that was probably the first ones I had gone to. But like, I remember going to like a Comic-Con in Boston in like the late 80s.
Oh, okay.
My dad bought me a stack of like Silver Age Spideys from this guy, all like unbagged, all beat and roached out. Yeah. He bought this whole stack. The guy, whatever the price was, like $75. And my dad was like, "Oh, come on, are you kidding me? $75? They're all beat up." And so my dad was like walking away, and the guy was like, "I don't feel like bringing all these books back home." So, whatever the offer my dad made him, the guy ended up taking it. But nice. I got a bunch of like my, Ditko, like, Silver Age Spideys. Like I said, they weren't nice, but I read the death out of them. It's just great stuff.
Which is perfect. Yeah. Those are the reader copies are perfect for that. Hey, we got Inja Binja in the house. What's going on, Inja? Thanks for stopping in. And guys, if you're not following Paul, like I said, his information's in the description below. So I want to backtrack for a second, because you talk about your brother who collected DC, and yet that wasn't something that you gravitated towards, and even now, so you are more of a Marvel collector, right? Do you own any DC? Like, do you go out of your way to collect any?
I think the only things I might have DC are I had the Dark Knight trade paperback, which is probably like the first print. It's probably the one from like the 80s. I do have that, so it's all beat up. I've read it a bunch. I was a big Frank Miller fan. Daredevil ended up becoming one of my favorite characters as well, as I know he's one of yours as well. So that got me into the Frank Miller Daredevils, and I was like, I branched out into other Frank Miller books, even DC ones. So I did pick up like the Dark Knight and the Batman Year One. I think I have that trade paperback as well. But like single issues, I don't believe I have any DC at this point.
Oh, interesting.
Listen, man, he had this issue. It's classic. Someone can look it up. I think it's like Batman 158. It's like from the 50s. It is an old book. And it has just this silly cover of like Batman in like a water tank. And he says, "Yes, Robin, I've become a human fish." And it was like, even as a kid, just looking at it, it just looks so corny and it's like silly, Like I'm looking at that, and then I'm looking at like Ditko Spideys, and it's like, come on.
It's like night and day comparison there.
So it always had that silly, it just always had that silly vibe to me. Even like the Super Friends cartoon, right? Even that was like not like, so Spider-Man's Amazing Friends, obviously it's cartoons, it's silly, it's for kids, but it wasn't like as silly to me as like Super Friends was. So
sure.
Yeah, I definitely have a DC bias. What can I say?
Yeah. I mean, do you like any of the Batman films? Like, did you watch like Dark Knight when that came out and stuff like that?
I like the Bale and not Snyder. Who directed those movies?
Nolan
movies. Yeah, the Bane one was weak, but the other two were good. And but even as a kid, like when the '89 Batman movie came out with Michael Keaton, I thought it was cheesy, but I enjoyed it at the time. It just wasn't I have to be honest with myself. I have to like like my view might be colored now by like how great superhero movies are now, and it just wasn't that way back then. So for what that was at the time, it was good. It was cool.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm curious. So it's not like you're not like anti DC or anti Batman or anything like that, but just,
I would say of all DC characters, obviously Batman probably would be like I could get into him. I just feel like now it's just so there's just so much out there. I'm just like, and I know so much about Batman. Like, not that I read the stories, I know that stuff, but just in general, I know enough about him, and it seems like it'd be tough to get like caught up. And I don't know if it was you or someone that was talking about the new Batman book where I don't know if it's I know Sorrentino's doing the art on it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I've seen a bunch of people saying it was cool, and it was like a single type like story. Like you don't need to have read other Batman stuff. So I almost bought that one. But
yeah, you should. It was Batman Imposter was
that's
the
it.
name. Yep. So that was exceptional. I think a part of the reason I loved it so much was because it reminded me so much of Gideon Falls, the indie the Image title. But yes, you're right. It's still something that you don't need to have any prior history or knowledge.
Maybe I'll pick it up. I'll check it out on your recommendation.
I think you should, Paul. I think you should. And there you have it, folks. We're twisting Paul's arm here today. I wanted to go back here for a second, and I saw. Let's see. There was a couple things here. First, Michael had some nice things he said to say. He said, "I followed Ish out of Paul. His IG and is awesome and inspiring."
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. And Inja was interested. She says she still want to see those the Wolverine claws in the corner.
Well, I don't think she means these because you can't see them down there, but I do have a set of these. These are
nice
metal claws my wife bought me, but those in that back corner are actually that's a Blu-ray set of X-Men movies, but it has just like fake Wolverine claw on the outside.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Not that anybody watches Blu-rays anymore, but
yeah, no, that's awesome though, dude. I love the ones you just had up there.
Yeah, no, these are cool. They actually got some weight to them too.
Are they? I was just gonna say they're like metal, right? Are those?
Yeah, no, these are. I mean, I don't think they're gonna cut anybody, but
it's not plastic or anything.
If I swung it at somebody, you might do some damage.
You might feel something, yeah. I feel like I should probably get a set of those. Just being a mutant fan, like I feel like
that's why I cut them. I mentioned it, and my wife ordered them. Amazon, they were like $20 or whatever.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Yeah, I think this is very similar to what they use in the movies.
Okay. Yeah.
Like when they're showing him with like
Yeah, I've seen some people at like that are dressed up, at Comic-Cons that use those or something like that. Anyways, but I feel like that's just something in any X-Men household that should just be there.
I think that's what got me to get them.
Yeah. I love it.
It's funny going back to the Comic-Cons like you mentioned earlier about going to shows. As you know now, going to like you frequented a bunch of shows. It's much different than when I was first going to shows back then. It was much more comic centric, which is why I'm probably more comic centric and not as much into the the cosplay. The costumes are cool. I like to see them stuff, but sometimes when I'm at a show like Rhode Island Comic-Con's coming up, it's almost like overwhelming. Like there's so much other stuff, and it's like I'm just here for the comics.
Sure. Yeah, it's tough because it's like obviously a lot of it's targeted around kids now, so they want to try to get younger people interested in some way, shape, or form. And while comics might not be the most popular medium, they start bringing in like actors or cosplay type stuff, which so then at least it's like it's getting young people in. Like I always want to see any people getting into this, no matter what age. But I think that's like a reason why Comic-Cons in general have gone into that direction more to try to pull more people in, toys, other things like that as well. By the way, and just agreeing with you with the Christopher Nolan stuff.
Yeah, those was good. I like Bale. He was good Batman.
Good stuff. Yeah,
I'm
agreed.
Wary of this Twilight dude, but we'll see.
we will see. Hey, we've got my man Bill in the chat. What's going on, Bill? Good to see you, man. And Jason agrees that you should buy that Sorrentino Batman book.
I'll check it out. Is it a series? Is it like a one shot? Or
it's good. It's like 3. I think it's like 3 to 5 issues altogether. It's a mini series, so it's not going to be a continuous or anything like that. But that was just.
I'm a big fan of Sorrentino. I loved when he was doing Old Man Logan.
Oh yeah,
I kind of first picked up his art, his style.
I should go back to that because that who do you know who the writer was? Was it Lemire or did Lemire do that?
Old Man Logan was I think it was the Secret Wars.
I think that was when they first worked
tied in with Secret Wars. Yeah, I think that was him.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's something I'd like to put on my list for sure. Um, she's talking about the claws there. Inja would take them anywhere. Let's see. John says, Paul, do you remember when John Scungio
Isn't it the
did the
Crossroads
shows?
in
Yeah.
Warwick? I don't. I may have went to a show there though, but I wouldn't say I'm like familiar or remember it that much.
Hmm.
But that was the kind of shows we used to hit back in the day. They were just smaller, VFW posts and
Oh
stuff
yeah.
like that.
There's a good show that goes on here in Jersey. It rotates. It's like literally every weekend between 4 or 5 different cities, like kind of close to me, anywhere from a 20 to 40 minute drive.
Yeah, Morbius sent me a link to a show that was is it tomorrow?
I think they have one tomorrow. I think there's I think there's one every week.
I just want to try to set up a trip to come down there, hit a show, hang out with you guys, maybe or something. So.
Totally. Yeah. We'll look into it because I know. Yeah, I'm open to any of those shows.
Okay.
I usually try to hit those up. Some are on Saturdays, some are on Sundays. There's actually also an expo coming up in on the 6th next Saturday, not a week from today. That's considered somewhat decent size. I think they have Jim Shooter is going to be there and a couple other
cool.
Bigger names. And I think those are kind of to what you're saying, more of the comic focused, and maybe have some creators there or whatever. But yeah, it's good stuff. We got VP in the house. What's going on, VP? Station brother. And we also have Hood Rat Comics, Ian, hanging out with us in the chat right now.
Brother.
Appreciate that, man. Michael says, "Hey Paul, I don't think he ever would be but if you were forced to cosplay, what who would you be?" Yeah, that's a good. I should add that to my list of questions. If you could pick one,
beard is so white, I'm thinking Santa Claus. I don't know, man. Maybe the old man Punisher or something. I don't know.
Oh, there you go.
Somebody old, apparently.
Bill is confirming yes for Lemire and Sorrento on the old.
Yeah, that was great. That original Secret Wars mini was awesome. But then the series after that was okay for a while. Then that kind of started to fall apart like everything else.
Yeah. Jason, yeah, I agree. Jason, wish Paul was down here.
I mean, I think to myself, like, why I should be able to do that like frequently. I mean, what is New Jersey? Like 3 hours for me? It's not like that's
it's doable. Serious. It's a doable drive. Yeah, that's for sure. If you are down here, you make sure to hit up Jason too. He lives literally like a
cool.
A couple miles.
Hopefully you can center it around like a show or something. I'll get a hotel room, obviously, stay over, the day before or something, link up. But and then we can all hit a show. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely, for sure. So let's go back here to talking about your collection. Well, I know you had a couple books. Do you want to show some books off that you have there near you?
Well, so I had these out because the Joe connection. I have to. I don't really have at this juncture anymore many Joe books, but I do have these two, which are a couple of good ones to have.
Oh, nice! Isn't the one on the right? That's the first appearance of a character. No, the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, this is first Storm Shadow. It's the silent issue.
The silent. Okay, I remember people talking about. I'm not. Yeah. I haven't read a lot of them. I mean, I liked G.I. Joe's the cartoon as a kid, but I never got into any of the comics. But I recognize obviously those two there that you were holding up. So
yeah, I mean, thinking back, it's not like the Joe books I was buying off the rack when they first came out with like such classic material. They did have Herb Trimp art, which was pretty cool though. Yeah. The original artist on Wolverine, so it kind of all comes full circle. But and then obviously this, which you just posted, your beautiful copy. This is literally my favorite comic of all time right here. This is just the art, the story. I love the square bound books in general. So all kinds of annuals and all the Marvel Tales and reprint books, all the square bound books I'm a big fan of. So giant size are right up my alley. In general, I like all the giant sizes, but obviously that one is like it's just great.
Yeah, man. Agreed 100%. And I've started to keep an eye out on some of the giant size stuff too. And you're right. Like, I mean, if I am buying them, I'd prefer them to be a nicer condition. Like the spine, the challenge with them is the spine. Some of those spines, they just get completely destroyed. And it's like,
well, the one I just showed was this one. Probably not wise to crack out $10,000 books, I guess, but
well, I mean, it's all part.
I'm not worried about the money of it, so I don't collect the money, so it's
right.
if it's slabbed or not.
Yeah, it's totally, and you know, those are some very entertaining videos that I've seen in the past of you cracking open your slabs and stuff. If the people watching right now, if you've never seen any of the slab cracking that PJ has done, and even Morbius, you know, it's entertaining to say the least, for sure. It's I get a little uncomfortable, but I'm okay. You know, it's good.
I know. It's a little dicey, but you know, I feel like I'm very seasoned at this point. It's
totally.
No book I would be afraid to crack. Although my X-Men one is still slabbed, and I don't think I'm not gonna mess with that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, it's parts of what you stand for, and the idea of, you know, opening up your books and diving into things, and so I totally get it. And like you said, to your point, it's not really about, you know, trying to make this money or you know, retire per se.
Never have I collected comics for money, or like so not a pet peeve, or just, you know, whatever. It's just the way it is nowadays, you know, especially a lot of guys on IG. There's just a lot of, like, when I hear like in the word invest in like comics, and it's just like, I'm just a comic collector, man. I just love the books. I love the art, the stories. I would never look at it or mention invest in any way with anything in my collection. It's just not, it's just not something, like, I just feel like that's something different. Like, you can do that, I guess, but you just, I may look at you a little sideways as a collector, I guess, if all you do is invest and buy slabs, but that's just me.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, I know it's like obviously a very popular thing now, but I feel like even back in the day, there were people out there trying to buy books, right? Trying to.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I think when Spidey 300 came out, I think I bought like multiple copies off the rack. I mean, not like 5 or 10, but I think I bought like 2 or 3. Or, you know,
sure. Yep.
Invest, Paul. Yeah, I see you, Ian. I know you into investing. That's cool. Hey, man, everybody has their own thing.
I'm just here to trigger. Let me jump back up here real quick. I saw Sheena in the chat. What's going on, Sheena Station? Thanks for stopping in. Who else? Oh yeah, just Michael talking about Giant Size Man thing.
Giant Size Man thing. That's a classic.
Yep. GSX. Yep. Looking proper up there more. Oh, there you go. See?
Thank you.
All looking proper. Yeah, Jason. Yeah, Jason's 100% on board with
no, he's definitely hardcore reader collector.
For sure. Ian's got love for you, man.
Yeah, always, man. No doubt.
But yeah, so I mean, I think one of the things that we get along so well on, in terms of, you know, just being able to talk about certain comics just for the sake of the stories, and, you know, and appreciating some of the stuff on the inside. And again, not to say that others don't, but that, you know, that's just something you and I have. I feel like that I really like about it.
I just feel like it's hard to profess love for the medium if you just kind of have all encased books. It's like, well, how do you, I know there's reprints and trades, and some guys have them. Cool, I guess, if that's, but to me still, maybe because you're fairly new to collecting, correct?
Totally new. Yeah. 3 years, a little more than 3 years.
Like that old collector's soul, though. But I'm saying, it seems like I always look at it like, maybe I'm the way I am just because I've been collecting so long, and back in the day, that's all we had, and that's how we did it. Whereas I feel like most newer dudes are the other way, except, you know, obviously you're kind of old school.
Well, it's interesting because, like, I like to compare it to like music. I went to school for music. I went to trade school, like college for audio engineering. I looked at music in a way that the average ear, the average listener would not look at music as. It's kind of like a chef, you know, like someone who casually cooks versus someone who actually is a chef for a living. They look at food in a different way. They look at the style of stuff in a different way, almost to where it could kind of ruin it, kind of. And for me, music, for the longest time, I was like very picky about the style, about the way I listened to music. And so, and I'm talking like 10 plus years ago, you know, as digital started to like get out or whatever, but I was very anti-digital when it came to music. And I have a lot of vinyl. I collect a lot of vinyl. Yeah. And even that, I was anti-CD. I mean, I own CDs and I buy them because, you know, we're driving in the car, I'd want to listen to something, but I had this extra appreciation for listening to vinyl on an old school vinyl player that you can't get anywhere else. And the average listener wouldn't get that. They'd just be like, Justin, like what, you just put on a tape, put on a CD, whatever however you listen to
background noise.
Yeah, even if you're there to listen to it, like it's I hear it sounds the same. CD versus vinyl to some people, to a lot of people, sounds the same, but there are differences, and there is this warmth about a vinyl. But so I'm saying all this because I, for a very long time, had this like kind of romantic mentality of this is like I need this, and everything else is just not good enough. But as digital came out and like Spotify and all these other Apple
streaming thing,
yeah, I started to come around to, for the convenience, started to come around to listening to other things, especially in the car. If I'm driving an hour, even to the point now, like I imagine now, like I'm so used to my Bluetooth and listening to music on my phone and just clicking a button and hitting whatever album, whatever song I want to hear at my fingertips. Even as of 10 years ago, CDs was the only way to go about it. And you had to open up your little CD book and find the CD that you wanted, or keep the literal stacks of plastic CD cases, which, I'd lose those half the time, or they'd get, lost somewhere in my car.
Having those big binders, like with the
big binders.
They weighed like 50 pounds.
Yeah. So I kind of bring this story up to say that, for a long time, and again, I had this real strong appreciation for vinyl, the way it sounded, the warmth that you'd get from it, as opposed to a digital or a CD even, or a tape or anything else. It just was not the same. But I kind of looked past that in a way that to embrace it just for the convenience part of it, to where even now, like now I'm all on board with Spotify. I'm one of the biggest fans of Spotify. I've been for the past 8+ years. I tell everybody, like, order Spotify. It's great. You can literally pick any songs you want. And by the way, this show's not, brought to you by Spotify in any way, but no sponsorship, but, but so the reason I say this is because I kind of have that mindset on comics now as well. And me, like I'm a digital reader. So even though I do have like the old school soul, as you mentioned, to kind of, the appreciation to read the books and to actually get the stories and the artwork that's inside, but it's from a digital standpoint. So a lot of old school readers might look at me still and say, I mean, you're reading digital, man. Like that's, different or whatever. But then, when do you like draw the line where you're like, well, at least you're reading, versus not, or whatever. So I guess I'm not really sure what point I'm trying to make here, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it kind of is similar, you know what I mean? It's like, and I get where you're coming from with, as you said, like you grew up in this, this is how it was. This is how it's been. You wanted to read a book, you want to get a story, you had to read it. You had to open it up in order to read it.
Yeah. We were just trying to finish runs and just collect books. Like it wasn't, it was never about like a money thing. If anything, the reason I didn't have comics is because they were expensive. That's not why I collect or wanted to collect. I just wanted the books, we just wanted to get, there used to be something to that, having like, oh, I got a full X-Men run, or I got a full, Daredevil run. I feel like collectors, a lot of people nowadays, at least just from what I see online, obviously, like most people are just, fixated on keys, or if something's worth money, then they don't want like a random Daredevil, 28 or whatever, just like some odd, Whereas like back in the day, we used to want to finish, like we needed all the issues to read, you want to have the full run. And then now it's just like, I just want Daredevil 1, 4, 16, like, what I mean? Like the keys, and that's it.
Yeah. No, I totally feel you, man. It's an interesting conversation to like kind of think about. And again, look, we all grew up in different eras and different, and I think obviously that's why we all have these, different views of, depending when we got into this stuff. But I mean, I'm totally on board with you in terms of, reading these comics, and really, and again, however you do it, whether it's digitally, physically, omnibus, hardcovers, trade paperbacks, whatever.
Well, I do have a vast digital library though, because nice. When Marvel, I think it was Marvel Now, or one of the relaunches they did like 8, 10, 5 years ago, whatever it was, all the comics came with the free digital code, and I used to actually redeem them.
Oh yeah,
myself, like I'm lowering the value of the real book because I guess collectors want it which makes no sense. I don't know why they would care if the code was used or not. But anyway,
it's like the stamp. It's like the old Marvel stamps.
Yeah, but that was like literally cut out of the. I guess the part of it cover is peeled off, so I guess.
But it doesn't affect the story. You know what I mean?
It doesn't. So, but anyway, so for like a year, I guess, or so, all the Marvel books I was buying, which at that point I kind of was buying a lot, like all the Bendis Avengers. I think Wolverine was dead at that point, so he didn't have a book. But whatever the X-Men issues were, the Uncanny, regular X-Men, Astonishing X-Men. I mean, it was a lot of them. I was redeeming the codes, so I built up, and that's how I was reading my books, honestly.
Nice.
But then Amazon or Comixology or whatever would get smart and send me like, Marvel Masterworks on sale for like $3.99. So I bought a bunch of like the old X-Men and Spidey ones to read. So I actually do read my iPad comics.
Nice.
Kind of a hybrid, I guess, a little bit.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I love that. I love that you do that. I mean, you know, and there are conveniences, obviously, for digital stuff, right? I mean, when you're traveling and stuff like that, but that's what I like about you, Paul, is that you do come from both worlds. I mean, you do give everything a shot in terms of, as long as you get your stories, you want to get your stories, which is I'm totally on board.
I feel like at least a part of me is like, especially when I'm reading like the collected Marvel Masterworks on my iPad, I'm like, well, not Spidey. I don't have Spidey 1 and those single issues anymore. But I did at one point. I've read the actual like books. Like,
right.
And honestly, it's just easier to read at night. If my wife's in bed and I jump in bed and I want to read, I don't want to turn the light on. It's just easy to read the iPad. But you probably do the same thing.
100%, man. Yeah, nobody wants to sit in bed and have to unbag your board and
and put like a flashlight while I'm like, I mean, it's not going to work. I don't want to wake up. So.
Exactly. I wanted to jump back here in the chat real quick. First, I saw Phil Ailing in the house. What's going on, Phil? Always a pleasure to see you. We got my man Back Issues Paulie hanging out with us as well. Got to meet him.
What's up, bro?
Appreciate you stopping in here. Let me see, scrolling through here just a little bit. I saw Bill was saying I still listen to cassettes. Hey, and still, no hate against cassettes or CDs or anything, but this, Spotify has definitely turned my world around, and for my convenience.
The convenience of it, right? I mean, it's so
exactly
easy, literally. I explained this to my son one day. We were talking about cartoons, and we were talking about when I was a kid, the Saturday morning cartoons was such a big thing, but you had to get up and be ready to watch them on Saturday morning.
Sure, you couldn't.
No DVR. There was no.
right.
We did get VCR after a while. We used to record them, believe it or not. But, and I'm like, you don't understand. You can at any moment get on your computer or your phone and just punch it up on demand and basically watch anything. Like that's mind blowing to someone who, like I said, I had to get up on a Saturday and make sure I was ready. Like we used to watch wrestling on Saturday mornings.
Nice.
Hogan, Macho Man and stuff.
Yep.
We had to be up and ready to watch it. Not that we would oversleep. We were kids. We were always up early, but
right.
We had to be ready to watch it at that time. There was, you missed it. And that was it. Looking it up on YouTube to see what happened, so.
Right.
It's like the dichotomy. Like, it was just so crazy to me to like, he can like watch anything he wants and he likes the old stuff. So it's cool that you can find all that online, but
totally. And same with the comics. That's why I like Comixology or Marvel Unlimited, because I could literally go back and read all the classic Marvel issues whenever I, like you said, like whenever you want, like just like type in whatever name and you get the issue right there. Obviously we've come a long way for sure. Inja also says now they don't even put CDs.
Someone who works on cars on a daily basis, I can definitely confirm that most cars don't even they don't have anything but an auxiliary jack, like a port or a USB now, and you just plug in.
Right. And then as I was saying before, now I don't even plug in. Now I just have the Bluetooth stuff, which is
connection,
which I like, because I used, a couple of years ago, I used to hate having all the cables all the time hanging, in front of my car. First world problems, right? We got Jeff here saying collecting comic books, quote unquote, the right way shouldn't be determined by anyone but the individual. Yes, 100%. We all have our styles.
My views on that obviously don't mean anything to anybody but me, but that's
sure. Yeah. Injo saying, love the convenience of digital streaming, but I still love having the physical copy of any books or medium. Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that's why I still buy books physically. I mean, I have a lot of, these short boxes are growing out of nowhere, but,
seriously,
but I do like to have them physically as well. And, I mean, I like to support my LCS. That's the other thing. Let's see. Jason's agreeing for sure. Ian talking about NFT comics again. Just here to trigger. The NFT world, man. I'm still not ready for that.
I don't think I'm fully comprehending what's going on with all that. So I'll just stay clear of it.
Keep to my physical.
I believe he's actually got some self-help videos on that, or he's posted about it and stuff. But
Ian's all over it, man. He's all over it
for sure.
Jason said there is no real way to collect, but
Exactly.
there kind of is.
That's my sentiment. When I hear that phrase, there's no right way to collect. I'm like, I get
Kind
it.
of.
To me there is, but
Yeah,
it really matters to me. I understand. Nobody else it.
Let's see, scrolling through here. I saw a promiscuous time traveler in the house. What's going on, man? Good to see you. He said, yeah, I feel bad for books that get left out of key factors.
There's it's not a key, nobody wants it anymore.
Second appearances and outfit
which
changes.
has led to that. Actually, now everything is like some weird key of some sort. People are like digging and scratching and clawing to try to prop a book up for some, just stupid reason.
Yep, different. They'll find something for sure. Marvel Now. Ian says, I read 75% of comics online. To be honest, it's not as good as reading the real thing, but it does do the trick. Yeah, I mean, totally. Sure. And I can read my stuff anywhere without taking a short box. I mean, there's certainly those conveniences, which again is why I like to read digital too. Let's see. And just saying, I'm feeling attacked. I don't know if it's from which part of the conversation we're talking about here, but sorry, Inja. All love. Let's see. Eric says, I read digital while I'm putting my little two to sleep. Yeah. There you go. The conveniences. Michael says to complete your runs, kids, because fat wallets get heavy. That's a good point.
I'm looking to have that problem.
Yeah. I'm okay with that problem. Best thing. Best thing that went digital. Let's see. Kids today will never know the urgency we felt during trying to hurry and get snacks or pee before the commercials. Yeah, for the shows. Yeah,
no doubt.
100%. Sheeta's in here with a knife right now.
Uh-oh.
Let's see. Anyone want to buy my 652nd appearance of Spider-Man? Big key factor.
That's where we're heading, man. That's where it's going.
Right. Hey, we got my man Morbius in the house.
What's up, my man?
Thanks for stopping in. All right, let's keep this going. So, Paul, let me ask you then, as we're talking about collections here, what is the big picture goal? And I know goals can change, but as of right now, what's the big picture goal for your collection, for everything that you have and continue to grow? As you get older, where do you see most of your collection going? Are you taking them into the grave with you? Are you selling them? Are you passing them down to your kids? Like, or a combination of all that?
I think for the most part, I mean, I don't ever plan on selling them. I just keep them, I suppose, and my son will inherit them, I guess. I mean, he's kind of into it. I mean, I won't say he's a comic reader or anything at this point, but he just likes to collect and, old stuff. So he definitely appreciates them and likes them. And he's actually, next time you see him, you ask him some questions. He's fairly knowledgeable about old comics. So he might surprise you with some of his answers. But
nice.
So more than likely, he's probably going to end up with them. Well, my wife's 10 years younger than me, so I guess if I punch out earlier than me, she could she may move them on me. But as far as from my perspective, they're not going anywhere. So
nice.
I'm going to keep buying them. I mean, so I don't buy as much new stuff. So at this point, it's just trying to pick off older books that I never had or upgrading comics I feel like more than anything, like the last few years, I'm just like buying books I already have. I'm just kind of upgrading them and stuff, just trying to get that right, crispy copy, I guess. I do like my books nice. Yeah. Which you remember the post where the guy said about the pile of VGs, right? That guy pissed me off a little bit.
Oh yeah, I'll never forget that.
His basic assumption, like, because I don't like slabs, I somehow just accept like substandard condition comics. Like, no, like
right. So yeah. No, I remember that. That was a very entertaining post to say the least.
Come on now, bro. That's a clown question, bro. Seriously.
Man. Yeah. So I'm always curious about what people they're kind of
so I put collections going. Just a pile on that though. So my collection, like, I have a lot less books than I used to have. I did kind of cull the herd at one point. It was a lot of like, I had this conversation with myself. I was like, what do I love? Like, what books do I love? Not just like or stuff I've read and I don't really need anymore, So I did get rid of a lot of books that I had. Like, I kept all my X-Men stuff, my Wolverine stuff, my Punisher books. All like my favorite characters, Daredevil. I thinned out some of my Avengers, like later Avengers runs, like all like the Bendis issues I bought, which some are key now, of course, but like all that kind of stuff I don't have anymore. I kind of thinned all that herd out. So whenever somebody, my son, gets my collection, it'll be pretty streamlined. It'll just be like probably like my full X-Men run, Daredevil, stuff like that. So
yeah, no, that makes sense.
Because you run out of room, man, as you know, all of us collectors know, at some point you reach the point of diminishing return. You just got no room, no space.
Yeah, no, it's a real problem that I feel like I've been campaigning for a while now, bringing up and trying to get other people's opinions on like what do you do to save room, or what do you do to what do you do with your books, and to some degree, like I do feel like the plan of selling comes in mind, not everything, but like you got to make room. You have to and so you might as well get something back for something, or I mean, you could donate as well. I mean, I know I talked to Jason about that recently. I know he donates some of his books, more of the modern stuff that he reads, which I think is a cool way. But I think going back to what you said, I like that you said you take the time to kind of ask yourself, like, what do I love? Like, what do I absolutely need in my collection? And what are some of the things that I'm okay with parting with or getting digitally, or, like just not needing necessarily? Because, yeah, at the end of the day, unless you're made of money, you really do have to consider these things, because you can't just keep upgrading your house
you can't keep everything, you can't buy everything.
Right.
It's just not, at least not guys, you or me, or just
right.
guys with a kid and or whatever. Just like, just don't have money like that. I'm fortunate. I have some comics that are worth some money, but in no way means I have money. That I just like my whole 81 I bought over 20 years ago for $400.
Yeah.
So the Giants X-Men one I have was like traded and then upgraded and traded again. Like, it doesn't stand me much money. I've never laid out like a lot of money to get a book. It was always like trying to work some deals and trades and stuff. So you can't have everything.
No, you're totally right. Checking out the chat here, I saw my man James hanging out. Comics for Cheap. Congratulations to you, my friend. He also just hit 1K on his YouTube channel. Literally, like, I think we crossed it the same day yesterday. So congrats, man. We'll definitely hang out soon and do some celebrating for sure. Jason Jason using some colorful words there. We'll just
I think I straightened this dude out, though. He kind of backed down when I checked him.
Let's see. Everybody's just kind of talking right now.
Books, huh?
I accept that challenge, Paul. Yeah, kids leave the house and you take their room back. There you go. That's a strategy, right? I think they could gain
so I got like 5 or so years before he's more than likely going away to school, and maybe I can get that room back. But you know what it is? You also get older too, man. I would dread moving. I mean, I would need a truck just for my my books and shit.
100%, man. That's still something on my mind, even with my 30 short boxes that I have right now. I'm like, that's definitely something to consider always.
I did the same thing. So at one point a few years back, I started switching over to half boxes just because they're more
easier to carry around,
agile, just more easy to just easier to kind of hustle around and stuff. So and then I started switching to all these black, I think they're BCW.
Yeah, those are nice.
I think I got like probably like 30, low 30s of those, and that's pretty much all. And I actually, they make long boxes of those. I bought 2 of those for my full X-Men run to fit in. Well, at least like the latter half of the run. So
yeah, that's a good idea. I have seen obviously I have the short boxes behind me, which are very convenient, and I like that they have like the actual grip to carry them. They stack,
like fit into each other. They're pretty sturdy and stuff. So I like them. They're cool. They're expensive, but they're cool.
Yeah. My advice to that, if anybody's trying to get those, is just ask for them for Christmas or a holiday event or something like, or birthday, something like that, and slowly you'll get a bunch. So I want to ask you too. Talking a little bit, we were talking before about older collectors, newer collectors, and all this stuff. Before we get into the rapid questions, one question I always like to ask my guests is, for someone new that's just coming into this hobby, because there are new collectors that are coming in, there are new readers that are coming in, there are new fans, thanks to like Netflix and the MCU films and other films like that. Do you have any advice that you would give, any one piece of advice that comes to mind to someone who might be on the fence of getting into comics, being a regular of some sort?
I guess I would say if they're getting into comics to read, they enjoy the characters, that type of stuff. I would say just kind of stay focused, buy again what you love, and if you've got the extra bread and you can buy what you just like, then do that. But don't waste money on stuff that's not. Don't get caught up in the FOMO or get caught up in the key collector app and all that kind of, which is a good tool, but just don't get don't get sidetracked and feel like you got to keep up with the Joneses and that. I'm proud. Like I'm happy to have my collection. I think it's cool. Some people tell me I got like great books. I look at other guys. I'm like, man, I got nothing compared to this guy. So there's always going to be bigger, always someone bigger and better out there. That type of thing. So don't feel like you ain't gonna be able to keep up in that stuff. Just buy what you enjoy, man. I mean, but if you're getting into it because you want to invest and all that, I mean, I don't really have much advice for someone like that. I guess they're going to talk to Ian, a hood rat, and see what they can do. But that's a different animal. But I know it's discouraging. I'll go to conventions. I'm sure Terrificon, there's probably people there. There's a guy in front of the booth. He's got his phone like this. He's talking to the guy at the thing, asking to look at a slab. He looks at his phone, gives the slab back, asks for another slab. It's like, come on now. I mean, that's. Oh yeah. I just feel like that's not comic collecting to me. He wasn't digging in long boxes. He was looking at a slab. I'm assuming he was looking up some GPA or something.
Right.
And then he was going to negotiate with the guy. But it just seems like such a sanitized way to do it. There's nothing like digging in those old musty long boxes trying to find diamonds in the rough. Or just some random Marvel 2-in-1 you need to finish your run,
Right. It is a good feeling when you can find those, especially in the cheap boxes.
So I would say the advice ultimately would be just buy what you love and enjoy. Don't try to think you're going to hit it rich, or, that type of thing. Just not off that way. And if you can branch off from there and you start to get exposed and open up to more stuff that you may like, and buy that and just start small. Don't go in too hard, too fast, basically.
Yeah, no, I love that. And one of the things to really highlight that you said, I think anyone should hear, even whether you've been collecting for years or you're brand new, is to not compare yourself to other people's collections. I think that it's easy to get caught up in that, especially on, Instagram or YouTube. You start watching a lot of people sharing their stuff and just showing off what they picked up or their hauls of the week or whatever. And it can be like that kind of, you feel like you're behind. You feel like, man, they got all that stuff. But you got to remember, we all come from different walks of life. We've all been in and out of this game different parts of time. And you can't compare yourself or your collection to someone else's. And that's not what it's about at the end of the day.
I've been collecting a long time. And honestly, a few years back, I even got sucked into it. I had like 30, 40, 50 slabs at one point. I mean, and it was just that, I see someone on IG and, some fellow X-Men fan, and he's got, X-Men, whatever issue graded. And I'm like, oh shit, I want that book. And, his a 9.6, mine's only a 9.4. And it's like, my mentality wasn't right. Then I started to sit back and like 9.6 and 9.4. It's literally the same book. There's no, so why am I feeling this need? I gotta upgrade like the book, So anyway,
you're right.
But it was a powerful, like it got me down that path a little bit,
Sure, you beat yourself up.
Yeah. It was like I woke up and realized all the mistakes I was making, and I got refocused and started busting slabs out. And now I do still buy slabs, but only when they're really cheap, and I only buy them so I can crack them out. So
right. I was to say, if you find a deal, you got it.
Yeah, I got one right here. It's waiting for Morbius. We're gonna bust out. But.
Oh, there you go. No, I love the advice. I do, and I think that, like I said, I like to always ask this question. I'm always curious. I get different answers all the time. So I think it's great to put out there what you're saying. And I see Jason here agreeing that digging in the dollar bins, finding a $10 book beats negotiating for some big boy slab. Yeah, man, it is a good feeling when you find some gems. So, all right. So we are getting to the rapid fire questions, which I always like to kind of, throw in at the end here. Again, if you guys, anyone here in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure you are subbed up or are following Paul over on Instagram. Put his information there. His handle is right there. PJMORRIS72. Yeah, man. it's been a good time for sure. But let's get into the rapid fires, because I know there's a lot of different things that we'll touch base on here, both comic related and non-comic related. But so I want to start out here. You talked about a lot of different characters, as we were kind of going through this. But if you had to choose one as your number one favorite character of all time, who would that be?
Well, obviously, Wolverine is definitely my favorite character. So, I mean, at this point, he's been my favorite character probably like 30 years at least. So initially it was Spidey, but I kind of progressed. So Wolverine is definitely number one. But Daredevil, I tell you, Daredevil is like, he's had so many great stories and runs and arcs and stuff. I mean, he's consistently for like the last 40 years, he's had some really, great writers and great stories, but Wolverine takes the top spot.
And what about for villains? You have a number one villain?
Doom.
Nice. Yeah.
Doom's my man. Magneto, it's tough, the villains, it gets tricky, but
totally.
I always say, my son keeps asking me why, but I was like, if we ever win Powerball, son, I want to buy a castle. I want to live in a castle like Doom, just walk around my robe, just like a goblet full of coffee.
Full of coffee.
I just want to chill in like a castle like Doom. So
I love it. Yep. I'm down with that. If you could have one superpower, what would that be?
Well, much like Wolverine, I wish I had a healing factor, because I'm getting old and it's like Rice Krispies when I get out of bed in the morning. So
starting to feel it. Yeah.
Shoulders and elbows ain't quite what they used to be. So if I could heal up like Wolverine, I'd be straight.
You'd be feeling pretty good. That's good. I like that one. What about I'm going to ask this question a different way. I'm going to give you more of a if you had to order these three comic book artists, how would you order them from favorite, not saying any of them are bad or anything, but favorite to least favorite, 1 through 3. I'm going to name Gil Kane, Dave Cockrum, and John Byrne.
Man, that's a killer lineup right there. That's 27 Yankees right there. I guess I'll go with Byrne first. I guess Cockrum second, just because his affiliation with X-Men, although I feel like Kane is probably more actually Kane and Cockrum both very prolific. If you look at Bronze Age Marvels, every other cover is either Cockrum or Kane pretty much. But so yeah, I guess I'll go Byrne, Cockrum, and Kane, which is no disrespect to Kane, because
of course
wrong with coming in third in that group.
Eric,
Kane, although now I was going to say Kane has a very deep DC history too, as far as the Green Lantern and stuff, but not for nothing, so does Cockrum, because he was actually doing Legion of Superheroes before he did X-Men. So and he actually rolled some of those character designs for Legion of Superheroes into the new X-Men, like Storm. I believe she was going to be one of the Legionnaires or something.
Yeah, interesting. Eric said it. Wow, that's tough. I had to throw you this curveball here. Yeah, man.
Byrne is probably my all-time favorite artist.
Okay,
Miller was, but I feel like Byrne just has done more diverse stuff. His X-Men run was great. His FF run was great. His Alpha Flight was great. He did a brief run on Hulk that was cool. He's just done a lot of stuff. Whereas Miller, like his Miller Daredevil's cool in his few, I guess, Dark Knight, and but he just didn't have as much, at least that I collected. I know he did a bunch of stuff for maybe Dark Horse, I'm not sure, whatever, like the 300 and some of that stuff, the Sin City stuff. I'm not big on black and white comics either, as far as reading. I never really got into the black and white stuff.
Sure. So if you're also all three Titans, tough question.
Yeah, that's legendaries right there.
Throwing Paul the tough ones here. Next question I want to ask you is, what was the last comic book that you've read?
Last comic book I read. I would say whatever the last issue of Wolverine was, not the one that came out this week. I haven't read it yet. So Wolverine maybe 16.
Oh, okay.
17 came out this week. So his battle with Solem and stuff. It's pretty cool. The new Wolverine's actually pretty cool. I've been buying it. I'm just a little bit behind on it, but
yeah. I'm a little behind on the Wolverine stuff too. It's Benjamin Percy, right? Was writing Wolverine.
It is. Yep. Yeah. Percy and Hubert and someone else. They seem to rotate the artists, but
nice.
Hubert's doing most of the covers, which are really cool.
Yeah, I've been picking up some of them have been just buys because of the covers alone.
Yeah.
But I'm only the first story arc in for Wolverine specifically. Are you reading the rest of the Hickman stuff? Are you reading like Inferno or anything like that?
Man, I picked up Inferno 1 and 2. I haven't read them yet. I have to confess, very disappointed with Hickman.
Okay.
The guy who works at the LCS I go to, all he did was hype up Hickman. And he knew I was a big X-Men guy. So he's like, oh, you're going to love it. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait. He's going to revamp. He's going to reboot and this and that. And so I read House of X and Powers of X or Powers of 10 or what it's supposed to be. And those were cool. I just wish from there it just went a different way. And it just, they just continued the Krakoa. And just, at this point, I just got burned out by it. So even the new X-Men book, which is not him, I think it's Duggan.
Yeah.
I've been buying those books, but I haven't read them.
Oh, okay. So I think that, and I totally get, I was just talking to Verno about it too, because he said that he's kind of gotten a little burnt out by certain storylines and a lot of the fluff that they've kind of built up around certain events. But I will say the Inferno stuff, it kind of jumps right back into where the House of X, Powers of 10 finished, or it's a mix of that. So because some of the story arcs pick up.
When I went, so the guy at the LCS, when I kind of was like, man, I don't know, I wasn't feeling the Hickman. He's like, no, listen, it was editorial. It's Marvel. They messed with him. They wouldn't let him do what he wanted to do. That's why he's leaving. But he was basically saying that Inferno is more like what he wanted to do. So it probably makes sense that you said it kind of picks up where like the miniseries had ended. So I'll definitely read them. I have them, the first 2 issues. I just haven't read them yet.
Okay, yeah, those and then the main X-Men title that Hickman was doing before this new one with Jerry Duggan. I don't know if you've read all those, but some of those tie into that.
The House of Swords and all that, which was cool, I guess, but just I don't know. You know what it is? I don't want to be that like boomer, get off my lawn type guy, but it's just, it's just not the same, some of the stuff anymore.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a different take. And
just the way comics are written nowadays, it's just a different, thing. Like we were talking about this on something else. I don't know if it was maybe with you on a different show. So we're just talking about how like, if I read a Claremont X-Men book, it would take me like 20, 25 minutes. Like it was in depth. Yeah. Like I can read a new comic in like 3 minutes. Like there's just nothing to it. It's just, so it just feel like, a lot of it back in the day with Claremont was like regurgitating, like, Colossus, the Steel Man from Russia. They'd always have that kind of stuff, just like
the flashbacks and stuff.
Yeah, just like retelling you stuff. But it just is like a different. When I read just the new stuff, it's just too scattered. I wish there was just like one solid team. Like I want the old team back. I love Wolverine, obviously, right? He's like basically at this point in the game replaced by X-23. She's not Wolverine. She's X-23. Basically, she replaced him. So it's like, which is fine. She's a cool character, but she's like, that's different. She shouldn't be supplanting Wolverine on like the main team, So
right. Yeah, it's certainly a different world altogether now in terms of the mixing and matching of different characters and giving new characters a shot. But what was I going to say with that? Oh man, there's a point I was going to say with that, but I was trying to.
Are you caught up with? You've read the first 2 Infernos?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I think they're epic. I think it's absolutely epic. That's what I was going to say too. Oh, what?
I'll read them tonight. Maybe I'll get caught up.
I think. Yeah. Let me know what you think when you read them. I'm curious. What I was going to say too was you're talking about like the new comics are not like the old ones in that. The stories are, you read them quickly, the new ones you read quickly. And same, like when I'm reading like the Claremont stuff, it definitely takes me a good 22 to 25 minutes.
Yeah, right. Like it's just read a book. Like a lot, it's
right. So the way I look at it is, if that's the style you like, to be able to get a full story arc in one sitting and it makes you have to read a good 25 to 30 minutes, you should get into trades. You should read trades more. Like you should read it as a trade. Like if that's the case, like I would say don't read Inferno yet. I would wait until all 5 or 6 issues come out and do one sit down and just read it straight through. Because at least you are going to get a full story. Like you are going to get what you got, and it's probably going to take you much longer. It's probably going to take you I mean, I would think
well,
reading all
the issues, they seem like they're bigger, like it's like
they're
a
thick
issue or whatever anyway. So
that too, they are thicker too. But even like Wolverine that you're reading now or anything like that, I would probably, just for how you're explaining the experience that you like or what you're preferred to, as a full story arc. I mean, even for like some of the indie stuff, I would recommend reading the trade and not doing like issue by issue. I mentioned Gideon Falls before with Jeff Lemire. If you ever got into that, I would say, that's a sit down read. You want to read the first 6 issues, at least the first 6 issues before you get up and use the restroom or anything like that.
Kind of like the difference between Netflix and Disney Plus, right?
Oh yeah.
All the Netflix stuff came out all at once, and waiting for like each episode of like WandaVision or Loki. Right. I was like killer. I was like, man, why don't they just release all this shit at once so we can
makes you wait? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, it's definitely a different style nowadays, and some writers pull it off still, I think.
It is with the books too, though. I just feel like the big thing that used to be, at least for me, was like important back in the day when I read comics. Like, so in the 80s up until like the early 90s, I was reading a lot of Marvel books. The continuity was like tight. Like if I read something in X-Men, it was mentioned in Spidey, they would like mention it, or like the character's history. They wouldn't just, I feel like comics nowadays, they just write them and they're like, oh wait, that character's dead. And they're like, screw it. They're going to put him in this. Like there's no consequences, because everything is just ultimately just redone and rebooted, and like it doesn't count. And I know it's comics, nobody stays dead. So, even when even during when Claremont was writing the book, if someone died, they usually came back. But it just felt like different back then. Like everything was like, it was like this one universe, and everything, like something that happened in one book would affect another book type of stuff. And nowadays it's just so disjointed. I just feel like it's just not, like, continuity doesn't matter. They just don't give a shit about it anymore. Yeah, because it's going to happen eventually anyway, because these characters have been around so long, and the storylines can only go so long, and they have to like do something to like.
Well, I think that's a big part of it, is that there's so many things that have already been done. And if I gave you the title of Batman and said, come up with a Batman idea, I bet you whatever you came up with was already done. You know what I mean? Like, to some degree. So it's like, what else are you going to do now to kind of change it up? And you got to remember, their goal is to get new readers. So they're trying to get, they're trying to revamp or restart, certain things, which can be annoying for those who, yes, have been reading, the titles for X amount of time. But then if like me, coming from as a new reader, I do like that certain things I can get into and not have to worry about knowing anything prior to, for some things. But I will say, if that's some stuff that you're looking for too, I think there's a lot of indie titles that you would love, and that would go towards what you're saying, as it's one world, it's one storyline, nothing like jumps or changes around, because it's only been out for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or whatever.
True. Well, that's why I really like the movies, like the MCU, because it was almost like being in at the beginning again. Because if you look at the MCU, like the movies, there's like continuity. This character shows up like early on. Obviously, by the end, they were just, the whole team was together. But like the first Iron Man, at the end, Nick Fury shows up. And then at the end of that terrible second Hulk movie, Tony Stark shows up in the bar. Like it almost felt like early Silver Age Marvels, like this continuity they were building, like, and everything was connected. Yeah.
I see a lot of people in the chat here. Appreciate everybody chiming in here about Hoxpox.
Yeah,
all kind of writers.
Yeah, Marauders, Excalibur. I know. Was it Tinny Howard and
Duggan was doing a lot of stuff. Percy was doing a lot of stuff, but there,
Claremont, damn it, that's what I want.
So, but what I like too about what Hickman has done is, and I think I was talking to John about this. John's Comics with Kids. He mentioned that very much what Claremont did, how he changed the game. He changed what X-Men was. I mean, he brought a whole new team in, gave a whole new perspective. In certain ways, I think Hickman is doing very similar. Now, I don't know where it's going to go with Hickman, and obviously he's stepping out. And I don't know if they're going to go revert back to what it was, or someone new is going to just come change it again, or whatever.
They have to bring Uncanny back, right? Because the X-Men book Duggan's writing is just X-Men.
It's just X-Men. I imagine they would do
Uncanny. So I don't know if they got some surprise big name creator they're bringing. I hope it's just not somebody that's currently writing the books, because it's just not going to really move the needle for me.
Right. I see Jason said, I feel like if you had a detailed reading order, you could change your mind on the new X-Men titles, Paul. Yeah,
Maybe.
I agree. So Jason has helped me out with giving me and here he is giving me certain issues to read up to Inferno that kind of jump around. It doesn't. It's not all the fluff because there is a lot of the new New Mutants and other things. There are certain series that you don't
So
technically need
did
to
you
read.
like, and Jason, did you guys like House of Swords?
Yeah. Exoswords, like the whole.
I'm sorry, House of Swords.
Yeah.
Swords, yeah.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was good. I mean, I don't know if I'd say I loved it per se, but I thought it was good for what it is and for kind of where the story has gone. Yes, I do think there were some parts that may have dragged a little bit,
definitely.
but
I feel like the Wolverine issues were cool.
yeah,
like I love Wolverine, so maybe I'm just
no, but that like for me, I didn't like the Excalibur stuff much, and even the any other the even before that event, the Excalibur stuff, I have such a hard time getting into the whole what's it called, the outer or the other world or whatever it's called.
Where
yeah,
Solomon and all them people are from, right?
Yeah, like I couldn't fully. I mean, I still can't fully get into it. And I don't even know. I wanted to give the old Excalibur stuff a shot, and even that, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna really get into it or
like
not.
old like Alan Davis and Chris.
Yeah, the
Claremont.
original stuff.
That
Yeah,
was a great.
yeah.
That was a great series when it first came out. That series was really good.
Oh yeah. So
it was
like
a different. So like late '80s, early '90s, X-Men was very dark, and then that book was like different. It was kind of lighthearted, and it was just that British. It just had like a different feel to it. It was cool.
Right. I guess I'm just I don't fully understand the idea of the two world, like the other world and all this other stuff. To me, it pulls me out of what I feel X-Men is, or at least from what I've been reading.
They just made up on the fly. Sometimes it just seems like they create something to create this story device, but then it's not really grounded. And you do need. Like, so Hickman FF, right? And even his Avengers run leading up to the incursions and Secret Wars was very meticulous in detail, but I feel like it was cool, and I just let down with his X-Men, man. That's all. I mean, it's probably not horrible comics. It's just not. I had such high hopes. Like my boys are finally going to get like to the forefront again, because everything's been Avengers for like the last 10 years.
Yeah.
It kind of fell flat. I still feel like the X-Men are not. They don't really intermingle with much people. Hey, listen,
Paul, you better
watch it, buddy. Bub. No, they I just feel like it's just. It's just a different thing, man.
I would be curious to hear your thoughts later when you get into the Inferno stuff.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check out Inferno. I picked up. I know I got the I think it was Emma Frost was the Jusco cover on issue 2, which that was the one I picked up. So I know people picking those variants up. They're pretty cool though.
Yeah, I've been picking some up too. Hey, we got Jay Nunya in the house. What's going on, Jay? Majority of comics are made for trade, not singles. Yeah, nowadays for sure. It's definitely more of that style. Sorry, just the chat just jumped on me here. Verno also agreeing that the modern comics are more better for trade for the most part. Definitely agree with that. Jay's talking about Jerry Duggan, the current X-Men. I like it. Seems like old school X-Men a little bit. Definitely. They changed the team up. That's but I agree here, Jay, that the situations that they're in, the style of the writing, that actually does remind me a little bit of the older stuff.
I have them buying it, so I'll at some point, hopefully sooner rather than later, I will get around to reading them.
But. Like these stories do, as you were saying, from comparing Claremont, for the newest X-Men title, they kind of start and finish. You get a full story, for some of them. But let's see. Time Traveler says, were the consequences in older comic book stories? Were there consequences?
I felt like there was. At least they kept up the bit for a little while longer. I mean, Jean Grey was dead for a long time before they decided to bring her back in Avengers and X Factor. I don't know. It just, I guess I was a younger person, so I didn't really have these like grandiose plans and designs. I just felt like when I read the books, it just, not so much consequences, but continuity. Like it mattered. Like, I just feel like now they don't pay attention to that. Like Daredevil doesn't like if he's not in it, like they wouldn't mention something happening with Daredevil in like an issue of like X-Men or Avengers or vice versa. Like it's just not. And if you look at old school Marvel, it was very like tight, you know, it was very like Roy Thomas, those kind of guys back in the Bronze Age, especially, they really took the time to like make everything like make sense and fit everything into like continuity. Even like when Kirby came back to Marvel in the mid to late 70s, I guess the deal with him was he can just write books. Because if you read like his Black Panther, it's not in continuity at all. It's like, you know, like with what Don McGregor was writing in Jungle Action. It's like a completely separate Black Panther. Just like they just let him basically do his own thing. But then later on, if you read the Christopher Priest Black Panther series, he actually folds that into like continuity. He explains it and stuff. So
nice.
It's like back in the day, they would take the time to do that stuff. And now they're just like, screw it. Like, this is my story. I think it's cool. And if it doesn't fit with another book or character, who cares?
Again, I think you should check. I think there's a lot of indie stuff out right now, Paul, that I think you'd appreciate or that you'd get into. Do you read a lot of indies or not really?
The only thing I bought recently, I bought I think it's Dark Blood. I bought the first 2 issues of that because Morbius was saying it was pretty cool. So
yeah.
I, again, haven't read it. I think my wife actually took them from me and read them, and she doesn't read comics, but she wanted to read those.
Okay.
She was less than impressed, but she's not a comic reader, so she probably wasn't.
She's like, what is this? What am I reading?
Exactly what was going on.
If you get a chance, you should check out Nice House on the Lake. That's been a fantastic read. And every issue they're about specific characters, a lot of different characters involved, but it's a standalone thing. You can read it on your own. Like it's a horror book, very twisted. It's James Tynan's writing it.
I feel like a lot of the indie stuff I see you spotlight and read is like horror themed or based.
Yeah, it definitely leans in that. I mean, I know like Something's Killing the Children, like that whole direction of things. Like I feel like it's
the book with the clown on it. Ice Cream Man, maybe, or
oh yeah, I mean Ice Cream Man's. I haven't really gotten too much into it. There's Haha, which is another one that
maybe that's what I'm thinking of. The clown
off of there. Yeah, that was it. That series was good. Those were all individual anthology horror stories, which were pretty good. Ice Cream Man, I read like the first one. I just haven't gotten into the rest, but I liked what I read. Just was moving on to a lot of other things, but that's been big hype. Hey, we got my man Off-White Tim in the house. What's going on, Tim?
It's good, bro.
All right, let's jump back in here with some of these others before we wrap up here. So I'll ask you this: if you had to choose one, I think I know the answer to this, but I'll ask anyways. If you had to choose between the original X-Men team or the new X-Men team, the Claremont X-Men team, who's your favorite?
Yeah, that's an easy one, man. That's clearly the new team. Well, quote unquote new team. They're old now, but you know, at one point when I was collecting my X-Men run, I contemplated like, do I even need the Silver Age and stuff like that? Because, well, they were expensive to get anyway, and it was like, I don't really. The X-Men I love is like Giants of X-Men 1 up. That's the team. Those are the characters: Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler. That's all the characters I loved and liked. So I appreciate this. Like if you look at Silver Age Marvels, FF, classic, great stories. Silver Age Spideys, classic, great material. Avengers was cool. Daredevil was but Silver Age X-Men, it's a tough read, man. It's not high quality Silver Age Marvel. I mean, later was like the Roy Thomas and Neil Adams like run they did to introduce like Havoc and stuff. That was
right.
But prior to that, I mean, Silver Age X-Men's tough, man.
Some of the story arcs definitely, from what I've read, were definitely a stretch. I know that at one point they versed Frankenstein.
They did.
I just felt like that was a bit of a stretch for some of them.
And you could tell they were trying a lot. That was like one of the last ones to go monthly. Like the book, like it obviously wasn't selling really well. And other than the first like 10 or 12, because they're mostly drawn by Kirby. At least he's laying them out. Like up until the intro of the Juggernaut, and then the Sentinel issues 14, 15, and 16 are all cool. Yeah. But pretty much from there to like issues in the 50s are like it's tough, man. It's not high quality books.
Well, you already know how I feel. I'm with you with the Claremont stuff, man, for sure.
Yeah, no, and that stuff is just next like, set up Marvel for the next. Basically, Marvel wouldn't exist anymore if not for Claremont and Cockrum and Byrne and stuff. So basically, X-Men saved Marvel.
Yep. All right, I'm going to switch it up here a little bit. Do some this or that's. if you had to pick pizza or cake.
Pizza. I love pizza, man.
Yeah.
Much like you, I've noticed.
Yep. What about Pepsi or Coke?
Coke.
Yes, that a boy. Let's see here.
Well, no RC Cola.
No, yeah, right. Hey, we could throw that in there too. I forgot about this one. A day at the beach or a day at a Comic-Con?
Ooh, it's tough. Probably the Comic-Con. I'm in the Ocean State. I live in Rhode Island. I go to the beach a lot, so it's kind of old hat for me. It's not a big deal. Although I've been to a lot of conventions too, I suppose, but nothing like the sights and smells of a convention. Although I didn't know Terrificon wasn't too bad to share with the BO and all that.
Yeah, no, I think it's just because
I don't know what it is with Comic Cons and dudes with BO. I don't know if it's like latex and vinyl shit they're wearing on their costumes or what, man. But holy cow, sometimes someone walk by you, you're like, woo, ready to put it down.
It's just some nerds, man. It's just some nerds that because I'll tell you, it was the same thing with Magic the Gathering. I used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering. If you went to one of those tournaments, they reeked, man. They reeked. And everybody's sitting real close to each other.
That's what it is. You're at a convention, you can't help it. You're digging in boxes. This dude, next to you digging, and you're like, whoa, knock you out his BO,
Just pass around bar of soap or something. I don't know.
Go up with the axe, axe man, just looking macing everybody when they're coming in.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Let's talk a little bit about let's bring up music here. What style of music are you most into, and do you have a favorite artist or band?
Well, I guess in different genres and different stuff. So as a kid growing up, I listened to a lot of early rap and hip hop and stuff, Run DMC, Public Enemy, Kid and Play, Mantronics, Eric B and Rakim, all that kind of stuff, mid to later 80s and stuff. Then 90s was all, the Biggie and Nas, Jay-Z, all that kind of stuff, Mobb Deep. So basically, and then the Seattle sound kind of started to come big in the 90s. So like Pearl Jam, Soundgarden.
Oh, hell yeah. Yep.
Nirvana, big like Nirvana. So all that kind of stuff. So it's all kind of mixed up. I mean, my favorite rapper was probably Nas. And I would say my favorite like band or whatever was actually Guns N' Roses was cool, man. They had a couple of gas albums, back in the day.
Absolutely, man. Those guys are classic.
Appetite for Destruction and Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, I believe. So
there you go.
I could listen to those just on loop. Like, it's cool.
Yeah, man. I like that you named like Pearl Jam. My girlfriend's a big Pearl Jam fan. I mean, I'm a big Pearl Jam fan now too. But a lot of those 90s alternative rock stuff, that was always good stuff too.
Yeah, that was definitely like my early 20s listening to a lot of that stuff was definitely, I have a lot of memories of that. So that was good stuff.
Yeah. If you had to just talk about one what do you call it? One best concert that you've ever been to, who would that be?
I'll be honest with you, man. I have not been to a lot of concerts in my life.
Oh, no? Okay.
I'll say me and my buddy went in the mid 90s. They used to have outdoor concerts in Providence from WBRU. And they had their, I don't know if you remember these dudes, Harvey Danger.
Yes, I do.
That song, Flagpole Sitter,
yeah.
Big hit. They were.
I used to love that song, man.
they were performing outdoor at this show, so we saw them and some other like indie band I'd never seen or heard from since. But I did see Harvey Danger live. So. That's
cool, man. That's a cool story. I like that. I will say they probably. I wouldn't be. I feel like I saw that they were touring or something, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I think that they still like that's their one-hit wonder, Flagpole Sitta type style.
Yeah. They were singing other songs, but then that song came out, everybody went crazy and all that. We were just there to kind of try to pick up some chicks or whatever. I forget what we were doing there.
Right. Yeah, some multitasking there. Steve said, digging the music choices, PJ. Very nice.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, let's switch it up here. We got to talk sports, man. That's something I've been
big sports fan. Played a lot of sports in my day too, so it's probably probably contributed to my Rice Krispies when I get up in the morning.
Yeah, totally. So let's go there then. What sports did you play?
A lot of basketball, a lot of tournaments, leagues,
nice
pickup games. I played a lot of hoops in my day.
Wow, did you play like anything like high school, college, or anything?
No, I didn't play in like college, nothing like that. High school. I was kind of a late bloomer as far as sports. I mean, I played when I was younger, but I was more into football. You know, that was my thing as a kid, like a teenager. I just wanted to play football all the time. I wasn't into hoops, but I became friends with my friend Frank, and he loved basketball, and he just got me into, you know, I had no choice. Like, we would call him up and see what we were going to do today. He was playing hoops. It was like, oh, again, I don't want to play this game, you know, but we just stopped playing, and I just got like a love for it, you know. Then from there, it was just like, we would travel to try to find games and just play. And like I said, I ended up getting in a lot of leagues and tournaments and stuff. So it was,
That's cool.
it was fun, man. I still love basketball. I mean, it's obviously I'm 49, right? You know, so it's not, you know, I still, like, up until a few years ago, I was still playing, like, you know, playing against dudes probably 25 years old and stuff, you know. I could still get after a little bit, but now I'm well past my prime.
Do you watch a lot of basketball? Are you a fan of
big
NBA and stuff? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I love it. Like, I'll watch any game that's on, you know. I just love watching hoops. But although, again, I'm starting to sound like that old guy, like everything. But, you know, I watch basketball nowadays, and it's just a different, you know, it's just jacking up threes and you know, flopping around looking for a foul. So it's
a lot of acting.
It's frustrating to watch. But
sure.
Yeah, I do. I love college hoops and stuff, you know.
Yeah. My girlfriend and I are kind of keeping an eye on some of the basketball this year. Every year, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get into basketball this year, and then like a week or two in, and then I just get so distracted by football and, you know, other things going on. But
yeah, football is my favorite. Like,
is that your number one
favorite sport to even watch? And, you know,
same.
Like, my most passion now. Like, so again, I'm one of 10 kids. I got 6 older brothers. None of them like the Patriots. One's a Jets fan, one's a Dolphins fan, one's a Steelers fan, one's a Vikings fan.
What?
My brother likes the Giants. So
wow.
But my brother, who likes the Jets, because obviously this has been a heated, you know, well, not really. We usually kick their ass, but there was a few years there where they went to the AFC Championship. They beat us in the playoffs in 2010. Yeah. So I've almost come to blows with my brother because we were so like worked up about the game. So I mean, it's
I love that.
We throw it down, man. It's like we get into it. So football stirs up that. I'm sure people on here who probably would talk some shit about the Patriots, don't like the Patriots. No, I would get fired up. I mean, so it's football definitely brings that out of me for sure. Like, I love baseball, I love the Yankees, but baseball's just not that kind of. I just can't get that fired up like
that same emotion. Yeah. Well, so let me ask you this: how is it that you named a lot of Boston teams that you like for all these different sports, but when it comes to baseball, you're not a Red Sox fan? How did that happen?
So again, my dad is a huge Yankees fan. My dad's 87 years old. He still works at his garage every day. He's still there. He's still got all his Yankees attire on if you go by there.
Nice.
So he obviously just influenced me more than he influenced my brothers, because they're all basically Red Sox fans. But just all his tales of Mickey Mantle and Yogi Berra and Whitey Ford and Joe D and all those stories I heard when I was a kid, it just impacted me more, I guess, than it did my brothers. So it just made me a fan. And then when I was a kid in the 80s, you know, the Yankees weren't very good, but they had like Don Mattingly, and I was a little too young. I don't remember like Thurman Munson and those kind of guys, but like late 70s guys, or when they won it in 77, I believe. I wasn't like, you know, I was like 5 years old, so I didn't like appreciate it or know anything. But Don Mattingly was like my favorite player as a kid. He's still probably one of my favorite Yankees of all time, although Jeter's probably supplanted him now. But
yeah, I was gonna say, at least you've still been able to experience some good years as a Yankee fan.
No. Well, so it was rough going to high school in the late 80s. I mean, again, we'd be ready to fist fight. I mean, it was the Red Sox they choked against the Mets in 86, but the Red Sox were a better team than the Yankees at that point. They had Clemens and Boggs and stuff. And so I always bust my Red Sox fans' chops. Like, those guys had to come to New York to get their rings, you know, Clemens and Boggs. But when I was a kid, they were like hardcore Red Sox guys. And it was, you know, it was tough.
I love the rival. I really do. Even like for me, like you know, bringing up football, Ravens and Steelers, it's always you know, a clash.
I think the Patriots and Ravens are kind of like a rivalry, though. Maybe not so much now because the Patriots are not really on that level anymore. But
there were. You're right. No, they're definitely
Lewis, Brady, Ed Reed, all those guys. I mean,
the playoffs. It was always in the playoffs.
The Ravens, I have to concede, they kind of had our number a little bit there.
I felt like we did. Yeah, I felt like we did.
I felt like at that point that was the Patriots were very I don't know, man. They were like soft or weak or something. And the Ravens always brought that. I mean, Ray Lewis is just like, he just got that energy about him. And then,
Monster,
obviously, they also just had a lot of great players. I mean, to be honest.
Oh, our defense was stacked,
Ravens
man.
defense has got 3 or 4 like Hall of Famers on it. I mean, Suggs, Lewis, Reed. I mean, these guys are like all-time great. So, our offense just wasn't really at those years. We just weren't quite there yet. Early 2000s, late 2009 and all those years. We're a little off, but we're back on the right path. I think I like Mac Jones, so we're gonna see. We'll see what happens.
I was gonna ask you how you felt about him and how you feel about Brady and the success that he's had now in Tampa. Do you have any thought to that? Are you salty about it, or do you support Brady? Or
it's bittersweet. I mean, it's these like probably my favorite football player of all time, and it's I gotta watch him throwing touchdowns for the Buccaneers. But I just feel like basically Belichick and really Kraft, they just fumbled the ball on that. Honestly, if it became that, in my opinion, that level of issue, then Belichick would have just had to go. Sorry. Because you can see now, right? Brady he won a ring. He's still great. Belichick may still be a great coach, but the team is sub 500, so it's like nothing's going to supersede the quarterback on the field. I don't care how great your coach is. So I just feel like, I don't know what they butted heads about or what the issue is, although they make it sound like, and maybe it's possible that this was just purely Brady's decision. He just looked at it like, this team's not that good. Tampa Bay is loaded on offense and defense, really. I mean, they're just stacked. So maybe he was just going to go to Tampa no matter what, just because they're that good. But again, that goes back to Belichick. Poor drafting, poor free agents. I mean, the team just kind of, withered under he is the GM as well as coach. So, I mean, he was, that's on him as well. So, what can you do? But I think we're back on the way up. So not on the Ravens level yet. The Ravens are probably one of the top teams in the AFC.
In the AFC. Yeah, man. I hope it stays like that for a little, at least for the Ravens.
The Chiefs, man. I don't know what happened to them this year.
They're sleeping. I do feel like they're gonna wake up now that we're getting like halfway through. I just feel like they're gonna click. They're gonna click. They're gonna click again.
To keep sucking, basically.
Right. No, you're right. I really think they're going to turn it around at some point. And I say that, and I don't want that to happen, but I do think that's going to happen with them.
Well, they are tough, right? You got the Ravens, Chiefs if they wake up. Chargers are good. The Patriots we have to play this weekend. Buffalo obviously is good.
Yep. Buffalo. Cincinnati, they're putting up a fight. They just crushed us last week.
Yeah, Cincinnati's tough. So,
the Raiders are a little, Raiders put up points sometimes. Like you never know with Carr.
Yeah, it's tough. The AFC is tough. It's pretty well balanced. All the 6-1 teams or 7-1 teams, they're all in the NFC, I believe. So.
You're probably right about that. Yeah, Green Bay, Arizona,
Buccaneers, and Cowboys.
Right.
We could have beat freaking lucky bastard.
Hey, we got my man Rod. Yeah, exactly. What's going on, Rod? Thanks, man. I appreciate it. He said, "Welcome to the club." Appreciate you, man.
That's awesome, man. That's very impressive.
Thanks, man. Appreciate everybody. All right, last couple questions here before we wrap it up. Just want to it's really just one I like to always close out on, so I want to bring this up and. Always curious where my guests stand with this, but Paul, if you had the choice of any dinner, it's a Friday night, you and the fam, you can go out to eat anywhere, you could order in, you could cook, however you want to go about it. What is your go-to meal, for Friday night with the family of your choice?
Say, probably this restaurant. It's just a local, one-off. It's been in business for like, I don't know, 100 years or 80 years or something. It's called Twin Oaks. It's in Cranston, Rhode Island.
Oh, okay.
Delicious surf and turf, which is 2 or 3. I forget. I feel like it used to be 3, but last time I went, I only got 2. Baked stuffed shrimp and like a nice, 12-ounce cut steak. So
that sounds amazing.
The food is delicious. The place is not fancy. It's all like wood paneling. It looks like it's like right out of like a Goodfellas movie. It's all male waiters. It's like very like old school.
Nice.
They're not necessarily gonna like, pamper you, but the food is just out of this world. So
nice.
It's pricey, but it's
worth it.
It's well worth it. It's delicious.
Nice. I don't know why I torture myself every episode that I do this, but like I'm already starving, and now I'm just like, man, the surf and turf sounds so good right now.
It's so good in that place too, man. The shrimp is just, I don't know, whatever they use for the stuffing, it's awesome.
Yeah, man.
So that's a great place to go.
Nice.
And we got some foods that are kind of like Rhode Island centric. I don't know if you guys have that kind of stuff in other, like we have these things in Rhode Island. I don't know other places that they're called hot wieners. I don't know if you ever had one or seen one. Basically just like a hot dog, and they're kind of steamed in like a steamed roll with like this like meat kind of sauce on it. Basically, if you Google like a hot wiener, you'll see what I'm saying. I know it sounds like a weird name, but like onions and mustard on it and stuff. I mean, they're loaded. They're kind of like a Rhode Island tradition. They're pretty good. So if you ever come up this way, we're gonna go grab I'm gonna get you a hot wiener.
I'm like, this isn't a prank, right? You're getting me to go to some website or something.
You get some coffee milk to wash it down.
I love it. Michael here talking about, he said, growing up, I thought Red Sox and the Yankees were the only two sports teams. Connecticut isn't very diverse,
right? I guess like Western Connecticut is like Giants fans, and maybe the other side is more cricket fans.
I can see that. They're definitely split.
Yeah,
that's funny though. I could see like growing up, you just hear the two teams, Yankees, Red Sox. You would just kind of fall under the assumption it's only those two teams going at it.
That is probably the biggest rivalry in like sports, basically, right? Well, I should say American sports, because I know that European soccer rivalries that are like humongous.
But I feel like especially because the Yankees name being so worldwidely known, I feel like anyone might be familiar with the word Red Sox, Red Sox and Yankees.
There is quite a few Yankee fans in Rhode Island. Rhode Island does have a strong Yankee fan population, and the only thing anyone's ever told me why, or like a reason or explanation, is that Rhode Island, especially Providence, at least back in the day, now it's much more diverse, but back in the day it was a very large, like Italian American population. And because OD was such a popular, like, great baseball player, it's obviously clearly Italian with a name like DiMaggio.
Right.
He was very popular, and a lot of the people around here were fans of him, and so by extension became fans of the Yankees. At least that's what the story somebody told me, because otherwise we are closer to Boston than New York, so I'm not quite sure why there are so many Yankee fans in Rhode Island. Other than that, the hat is cool, the logo.
Well, that's why I say worldwide is I feel like a lot of people just recognize that logo. I read somewhere that like the Yankees logo is like looked at as one of the most known logo for any company, just companies in general. But also I will say too, you talk about locations and Yankee fans. I feel like they are certainly just a team that the fans are everywhere. I mean, it's a joke for some stadiums that you go to. You would think you're at Yankee Stadium because there's more fans of Yankees than there are of the home team. For example, Baltimore. I try to go to Baltimore once a year for to see the Yankees play against the Orioles.
And Camden Yards is a great park. I went there.
Great park. It's a great park. It's easy to drive to. And I remember I was nervous. This is my first time going down where I was actually repping a Yankee jersey. And I remember thinking because I just picture the fights and stuff in the Red Sox and Yankees. And I get nervous about that. But I went down, and the minute I go to not even get on the parking lot yet or anything, you just see Yankee fans everywhere. So I felt right at home. I felt very comfortable. I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm in New York right now. Like I'm good here. Like no one's gonna.
A funny story about going to Yankee games though. I went to Yankee Stadium. It was when the new stadium had just opened, so maybe it was like 2010. It was right around there, and we went. It was a September game, and so we got there. It was in a rain delay, so we're standing. We're just kind of waiting around and talking. Yeah. So all of a sudden, they put the Jets game on the big screen. And so now all these like Yankee fans that I was around, now they're all like, yeah, and they're like rooting for the Jets. And I started looking around like, oh man, like it dawned on me like, oh, these people are Jet fans, all these fans I was around, and just was like, I was like, boo, get these bums off the screen, it was funny.
That's so funny.
It was just a weird feeling, like, we were all united, and then all of a sudden, the Jets, come on now.
So I have to share that there's an opposite experience that I had recognized when I went to a Devils Rangers game once. And I'm not really a big hockey fan, but we got some free tickets, and I like the idea of hockey games are a lot of fun for the ones I've been to. But I went to one, and of course, like the big rivalry, Devils Rangers, like they do not get along. The fans do not get along. Nothing like that. This was like right before the pandemic. And I went for like business. It was like part of my company. They got free tickets, so we went. And they ended up. It was during playoffs for baseball, and I remember during one of the in between periods for hockey, everybody gets off the ice. We all go, grab some drinks or whatever. And on the big screen on the side, like they have all the different areas of big screens. They ended up putting the Yankee game on, and it was the Yankee. I don't even remember who the Yankees were playing against, but it was the Yankees. And out of nowhere, everybody became united. Like we were all friends, the way you were talking about. So Devils fans, Rangers fans, you see them all hugging and like cheering and like all together. And I'm like, Yankees bringing people together. I love it.
Yeah,
it was great.
Nice.
But yeah,
we like to go to hockey. We go to the Providence Bruins, which is like the AHL affiliate of the Boston Bruins. But
that's cool.
We go to a bunch of games cheap, it's like $10, $15, whatever. My son likes hockey; he likes to watch.
It's a great experience, man. I think the game is a fun game. I don't follow it much, but
it's such a fast game too. When you're seeing it live, it's just like these guys are flying on the ice. You don't really you can't really appreciate that when you watch it, on the TV. And then when a guy gets slammed into the boards, like right in front of you, you're like, wow, that's this shit must have hurt.
Oh, big time. Big time. Quick hello to I saw Sarkham hanging out here. What's going on, brother? Talking about the Royals.
Get that pine tar out of here.
We got Ruben Guzman hanging out, Cowabunga, my friend, and also Comic Journey hanging out as well. He said, "Damn you, I haven't eaten all day. Stop talking about food." Sorry, man. Jackson Roy Kirk also hanging out with us. What's going on, man? He said, "Worldwide, you must be talking about No Good Comics." No, man, no. We're talking about the Yankees, bro.
Internationally renowned, Justin.
I'm not worldwide. I don't know about that, man, but I do have a friend in Sweden, so maybe that counts as worldwide.
Yes.
So. But yeah, there you go. Real new. Oh, root for the Bills. Oh, I don't know about that, man.
I don't know. I probably hate the Jets the worst out of all the AFC East teams, but the Bills are on the shit list too.
Oh man, I will say the Bills have a dedicated fan base. That's for sure.
Yeah, they do. They're hardcore, and they're actually good right now. So they
can't say much. Yeah,
we can't be talking some smack. There's nothing
right
about it.
Exactly. Jets and Giants don't even play in New York. This is true. This is true. Yeah, they should be the New Jersey Jets.
That's what I say. The Generals USFL team or something.
Yeah. Get the XFL back here.
I think The Rock bought the XFL, right? I think they are bringing it back.
He did. I think they are going to try again. Yeah. I went to an XFL game right before the pandemic.
Did you? Oh, that's awesome.
Man. Yeah, dude. It was I went to see the New York Guardians.
What was the New York team called?
New York Guardians.
That's
Guardians. Right. Dude, it was so much fun.
Is that who PJ Walker was playing for?
No, he was
quarterback because
Walker was on like Houston or one of the other teams.
He was kicking ass though. He was really good. Which he's not. I think he's on the Panthers now. He played last week or whatever.
He played last week. Yeah, I saw him come in for a little bit. Yeah, there was a lot of guys that got picked up, like wide receivers and other positions. But the XFL, man, it was a lot. It was a good time, and the rules were all different, which was like really interesting. But if and when it does come back, anyone watching, I do recommend going to an XFL game at some point. I own a jersey for the XFL Guardians. I'm like, you're never gonna be able to get this again. Just. They're not around
anymore. Cool. You don't have a "He Hate Me" jersey or anything?
Yeah, no. He Hate Me. It's great. Hey, what's going on? Hyper Combo. Good stuff there. My man's a Chiefs fan, so it's rough right now for the Chiefs. I don't know. I we'll see if they bounce back. But
the homies are struggling
a little bit. But hey, we are coming up on almost 2 hours, man. It's so funny, Paul. I was telling you before. I'm like, hey, we'll try to keep this an hour, but it's so much fun, man.
That's awesome, man.
Getting to know everybody. So I appreciate you taking the time to kind of share a little bit about yourself, getting a little glimpse of Paul. And obviously, Paul, I know it's not your first time or last time on the channel, but I appreciate you taking some time to hang out with me today.
Man. Thank you very much.
Likewise, man. Love everything that you're doing. Anything that you have coming up you want to share with the group here? Anything that you any streams or anything that you're looking forward to Or and where can they find you? Just Instagram, right? Mainly you're on
Instagram mostly. I do have a YouTube channel. There's really nothing of note on there. So mostly just Instagram. I like to go live on there occasionally. I should sometime soon, probably coming up this week. I'm gonna have a slab to crack out, and I think Morbius we're gonna link up to do that. So
nice.
Other than that, I'm just just mostly on IG, trying to post a book a day at least.
Nice. There you go. Yeah, show us the goods, man. Show us the goods. John's still hanging out with us. He says, "Good show, guys. Appreciate that, man." Michael says 2 hours, well worth every minute. You're the man, Paul. Michael, man, appreciate 100%. Thanks for staying, hanging out with us, and everybody here. Whether you were here earlier or you're here now, if you're watching the replay, thanks for taking that time to do so. Make sure you smash the like button on your way out. Make sure you are following Paul. If you've not ever reached out to Paul before, you certainly should. You just to talk some comics, man, or sports or anything else. I know Paul's down to talk about it. So
sports and comics are on equal footing with me. So
same. And Paul, man, I'm gonna be throwing some sort of little party here at some point. So definitely want to get you back on the channel for that here in the next week or so.
Yeah, definitely, man. Hit me up for that.
Absolutely. Well, again, everybody here right now, or if you're watching the replay, thanks so much for tuning in. I'll be back next week with my buddy Jeff from the Comic Book Canon. Going to be interviewing him, so that should be fun. And same time, 2:00 Eastern. And like I said, keep an eye out. I'm going to upload some sort of giveaway video. We'll have some fun with kind of planning that out. And then I want to throw a big party a week from now, maybe a little, week and a half or whatever, but we'll pick a date. Follow me over on Instagram. I'll put the information there for that. But until then, we're going to wrap up. So appreciate everybody. Have a great weekend. Happy Halloween. Yes. Be safe.
Yes.
And enjoy.